Welcome to the Plan to Rise Above podcast powered by PMG Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. We believe that you should strive to get 1% better every day, where every dollar needs a home, and compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And with the Plan to Rise Above, you control your own destiny.
ESPN guys has his
Enjoy
own
the
show
show.
now, and they were talking about how the NFL and it's rigged, and somebody said maybe it's AI. There's a Super Bowl poster, and it has all the quarterbacks,
Oh, I saw this.
and they're like they have the trophy in the stadium, but you have all the quarterbacks, and you see the back of their jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
The two that are standing closest to the stadium is Sam Darnold and Drake May.
Really?
And like the ones
But-
like right in front of the one right in front of the camera
Yeah.
is like Mahomes, and then like Allen, and like all the ones that were eliminated kind of early were in the back.
Oh,
And
so
then
this
the ones
picture
that were,
was from like
This
the
is
start
before,
of the season.
yeah.
it's from like an
Oh.
NFL promo, supposedly.
But
I
think
don't
of
know
it
if
this
it's
way.
true, but
This
it's
is
really
like
freaky. Yeah.
This is like the NFL headliners, right? This is like
Yeah.
at the Lala, you know, the names
Yeah.
at the top list. It's like you want to see Mahomes, Allen. You don't really want to see Drake May and,
No,
and Bo
it-
Nix.
yeah.
And that's why they put them in the back.
They're way in, and they're like tiny. And the ones in the front are like boom, and the ones in the back,
Yeah.
closest to the stadium, are tiny, and it's Sam Darnold and Drake May.
I think that was more, it's like, who do we not want in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then like
could be
Cam
AI.
Ward was one of them. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like
You don't want-
guys like that. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to is this episode 8?
Episode 8.
Episode
Wow.
8. Nice job. We've made it. I think we're getting a little better at this. Maybe
Haven't given up.
We haven't given up. That's right. We thought about it. No, no we haven't.
After
No, we
episode 1, they're like, should we kill it?
Yeah,
Like,
but yeah. So episode 8. This idea actually comes from our main person behind the camera. Shout out to John.
There we go, John.
Which is 10 reasons your neighbor has more money than you. And so that's what today's episode is about. 10 reasons why your neighbor has more money than you. And we're going to do it a little bit in the old school Dave Letterman style, countdown from 10 to 1. The first 5 are actually the reason that the neighbor is doing better. And then 5 to 1 is actually where you're sabotaging yourself. So we're going to work kind of in that style, if that all makes sense. So who wants to go first with number 10?
Before we start,
Yeah.
let's just, if you have any suggestions or any other reasons why you think your neighbor might be doing better, leave them in the comments below, and we'll maybe touch on those next episode. And
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
we like that. Yeah, we do need more comments. So for those of you
Yeah,
that
more
are
engagement.
subscribing, thank you. Please continue to do like, comment, and subscribe. We do love that. And share and subscribe.
yeah, we did
yeah.
hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, so a little milestone there.
Yep,
Pretty
100,
cool.
120,000 views.
Wow.
Never thought we'd get there that quick. So,
Yep.
yeah, keep
Yeah,
it going.
8 episodes or 7 episodes or 6 episodes that are out, 120 views. Wow.
That's true. Yeah, and then I want to go on a tangent, by the way. I saw some crazy YouTube poster talking about modern day kid needing $100,000 to live on. That's the equivalent of like $30 million, and the math just is not mathing. And so I don't know. That's a whole tangent, but either way, we have compliance is my whole point.
Yeah.
And everything that we say has been verified and accurate. Some of the stuff you see other places, it's like, holy crap! Like, who comes up with these stuff? And so there's a lot of weird numbers out there. So just be careful when you're paying attention to other people, I suppose. But they don't do this for a living. So that's all I got. But either way, so 10 reasons why your neighbor has more money than you. And who wants to go with number 10?
I'll start off with number 10. So number 10 is they avoid status spending. The fastest way to look rich is the fastest way to go broke. You're spending on car upgrades, home upgrades, jewelry, designer things. Those things are things that will keep you poor long term, and your neighbor, really, they're avoiding those things. So that's how they're building their wealth.
I like to think of status spending as like a envy tax towards your neighbors. Like you're spending money to impress your neighbors while your neighbor is probably paying no envy tax, and it just bleeds you out in subtle ways, and it's just not the best on top of other tax you already have to pay. It's not another tax you want to pay.
Yeah, I like the stat too. So the top makes of a millionaire is a Toyota, Honda, Ford. They're not driving a Porsche, a Beamer, or Mercedes. They're very modest with the cars they drive, and that way they're able to save the extra money, put it towards their investments, their college funding, stuff of that nature to build their financial picture a lot better.
Yeah, and then I want to add one story, which I think I said on a previous podcast too, but I still remember when I was a rookie in Naperville going out to houses, and we end up in a very, very nice subdivision. And we're, and I was trying to had a meeting with somebody who's wanted to save money for their kids' college, and they literally could not find $50 a month to save for kids' college. Yet they had a BMW and a Mercedes in the driveway, right? And it's like, and they're like, we don't have $50 to save for our kids' college. And the kid, by the way, was like 8. It wasn't like the kid was 1 or 2 or 3. Right? The kid's already 8. They hadn't started, but they got the BMW, they got the Mercedes, they got the really nice house, very fancy subdivision. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus who lives there, so I won't mention which one. But it's a very prominent subdivision, and yeah, they couldn't find $50.
Yeah,
so,
well, it's tough.
And that's exactly it. That is status spending, and that's why that neighbor doesn't have more than you. But that neighbor obviously sure may look like they have more money than you. Either way, but most neighbors who are doing better than you, they avoid status spending, right?
Yeah, they're keeping cars that are used. They're not always upgrading every couple of years. They're riding their cars to the ground and being able to save a little extra cash.
Yeah, a 2025 study found that 75% of luxury spending comes from middle and lower income shoppers, not even the ultra wealthy. And that kind of reflects on what George said. The easiest way to stay poor is try looking rich. So you just got to make sure you're not doing that.
Not doing it. Number 9, right?
Oh.
Number 9, here we go. Your neighbor pays themselves first. Savings is not what is left over. Savings comes first.
I love the quote from Warren Buffett. It's do not save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after saving. Too
That's a
many
good
people just get their paycheck and it's spent right away, and it makes it way harder to save money. So that's one of the things I always like to tell people, like, automate those savings. The thing we keep saying is every dollar has a home. You got to live that.
I would just add, I'm going to jump in there. If you think of the budget sheets, our budget sheets, any budget sheet that you've ever seen online, the first, it says income, first line, of course. But the second line usually is your savings, right? Before you get to rent or home or, daycare, whatever. Usually, most people who build these spreadsheets or those type of templates, they have savings as the number 2 line item just below income. The first one for expenses, right, is your own personal savings. So even everybody who's built a budget at some point's hinting to you to pay yourself first.
And you want to be building assets like owning things that appreciate in value, can generate income, stocks, bonds, property, rather than having it consumed by your monthly spending and buying that new Louis Vuitton bag or wallet or something.
Mm-hmm. And then even before that, making sure you have emergency fund in place.
Yeah.
There's a stat from the Federal Reserve that found over a third of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency. So it's people that never paid themselves, made sure they had money in the bank, they had money to dip into. So that's one thing that's that should be a basic at a minimum that you got to have.
Your neighbor is doing better than you because they are paying themselves first, was number 9. Number 8, your neighbor says no to lifestyle creep. Oh boy, here we go. Now we're ratcheting up. Okay.
If your income's going up, your lifestyle doesn't have to go up at the same rate, right? If you get a raise, I always like to tell people, save 50% of that raise, and then the other 50% you can enjoy, use it to make your life better, things that you wish you had before that you couldn't maybe afford, then now you can. So just make sure if you are getting a raise, you're not spending 100% of that, because it's hard to go back in the future and cut that spending.
Yeah, many high income households still live paycheck to paycheck, which shows high income doesn't guarantee wealth. So you got to treat that new raise as like found money to put towards investments, land, or turning it into income growth too.
And then one of the things we always recommend, right, is like just kind of a simple one. If you, if you get a 3% raise, then why don't we take 2 of the 3% and we add it to the 401k? You increase your savings automatically through your payroll. It's, people tend to not miss the money they get in their 401k that goes to their 401k as much as once it hits their actual checkbook. So if you can put that up on the shelf from the job, from your job itself, and then you're getting the same paycheck or just a little bit of the raise, and you were able to save in that 401k plan or maybe an IRA, you just don't tend to miss it as much. Whereas once it's in your checkbook, obviously it's very easily something that can disappear, right?
I would say once money gets mixed in with your checking account, it's going to get spent. Even myself personally, I know during the summers when we don't have daycare, that money automatically is going to go to savings now. So that way we're not tempted to spend it. Because I know myself,
That's
if
a good
all of a sudden I
idea.
get extra,
Yeah.
if I get extra $1,000 a month, I'd be like, hey, maybe a new car, or maybe
Yeah.
you know what I mean, I might buy a drone or something dumb like that, something that I don't need. So just getting it, out of my Chase login that I can't see every day. I'm not itching to spend it. It helps me a lot, and I feel like that would help a lot of our viewers.
Yeah. So if you're looking at your neighbor's house, it looks like they're doing better than you. And let's say if you roll up with the Mercedes and you just got a raise, you roll up with a Mercedes and they're still driving the Toyota.
Orange car.
Or George driving his orange car. Maybe that's a sign that the neighbor is doing better than you, right? Maybe that's a sign to yourself that maybe you need to slow that roll a little bit, right? So things you just got to be careful on. Again, when you're looking at your neighbor, they are saying no to lifestyle creep.
Yeah,
Right?
and we see behind the curtains for all our clients, right? So we see the good and the bad, and that's a common trait we see. It's like, yeah, this guy's got the nice car, this guy has the Camry, and the guy with the Camry is always doing 10 times better.
This is one that we've definitely pounded on. This one, number 7. Your neighbor, they started investing earlier than you did, right? So they were just a little sharper and quicker to the punch, so to speak. And
Let's just say you started with, I know we've gone over these examples a couple times throughout the podcast, but $10,000 invested at 25 with an average annual return of 7% grows to about $150,000 by age 65. That same $10,000 invested 10 years later at 35 only reaches about $76,000. It's a $74,000 difference just from starting 10 years earlier.
And I would say time is one of your most powerful assets. And then two, as your income goes up, Phil always talks about value your hour. So like if you're making $500 an hour, a job that's $100 hour job, you shouldn't be doing. You should be paying outsourcing for that. That way you could build your wealth even further. So just make sure you're maximizing that.
yeah, and again, and for people that are starting earlier, we see it with our own clients, with our clients' kids, I should say. We have a number of people that are in here that are 21, 22, 23 that are just starting out. We've got them on a plan. We've got them, putting money away. And eventually they're going to walk in and they're going to have money for a down payment. They're going to buy something. But even then, they're not going to cut themselves really too short. They're going to still have some emergency reserves before they even buy a place, right? So they've got backup and they're already building what we like to nickname the bridge, which is the after-tax investment account, or they're maximizing their retirement accounts already. And even if they're not maximizing, they're at least putting away a consistent, let's call it 10%, kind of our minimum number that everybody should be doing into their retirement plan. So they're already at least doing those things. And again, they just started earlier. And I will say there's more and more people that are doing that at a younger age than what existed 20 years ago.
And as you get older, it gets way harder. I mean, I've lived it. When I was out of college, I had no expenses really. It was easy to save. Now that I have kids, mortgage, all the other stuff, it makes it a lot harder. So when you're young, you have no excuse not to save. So do everything in your power to put money away, max out your 401k, and do what you can to save and invest.
Starting early doesn't only help you grow your money faster or easier, but it helps wire your brain to automatic save those paychecks and just have fewer. When you're younger, like George said, you have fewer distractions, a little less temptations, and then you save then, because then you wiring your brain to not even think about it. It just always happens.
Having that discipline, and that's what I think is great, even with recently the Trump accounts.
Yeah.
Because it teaches kids at a young age the importance of saving, starting early. You learn about compound interest. So as Ryan said, building those habits as early as possible will have better outcomes long term.
I actually found the stat. My generation is starting the youngest on average investing.
I believe it.
Yeah. Gen Z.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're more educated, obviously, podcasts and
Yeah.
YouTube and whatever, right? So, I mean, there's a lot that goes to that. Yeah, you do have a leg up on previous generations with that piece of it. Yeah, so no doubt.
Phil, when you started, did you see a lot of, kids in their 20s maxing out their 401k or maximizing the Roth?
No, that was rare. Yeah, we definitely had way more people at 55 and 60 that were just starting,
And were they? Yeah. Were they utilizing those catch-up contributions a lot more, or
no, less? Yeah, less. It's way more today across the board. Every demographic, every generation's doing better today than they did, in the late '90s.
But I think overall, retirement it's a newer trend, right? If you look back in the 1950s, 1960s, people didn't live as
Yeah.
long. They didn't need a plan to live or have 30 years of income to live off. Where now it's like, at least you or your spouse, one of you will probably live into the 90s. So you need a plan for that. So maybe that's part of the reason, like, no one's like, hey, I'm gonna work till I'm 60 and I'm gonna die at 65 or 70.
It's part of it, and then obviously, the whole planning, just financial plan as a whole is about 30 years old, right? So people are getting more wiser to that too. But that's another podcast. We can save that topic. But number 7 was your neighbor started investing earlier than you did. Number 6, I kind of like here. This is the last reason why your neighbor is doing better than you. And number 6 is actually the opposite. They're just flat out lying, and they have loads of credit card debt, but they appear to be kicking your butt. But in reality, they're not, because they are lying to you.
I would say as a kid, I always thought the rich people had the nice car and the nice homes. I just assumed it, right? And as you're saying, a lot of times they're lying to you because you see their assets, you see their liabilities, and their net worth is often way lower than what it should be based on their income. So it's not always what it seems when you see your neighbor doing these nice vacations or driving these nice cars. There's a lot more behind it.
Yep. And who has anybody have a stat on credit card debt?
Yeah. According to bank rates, 47% of American cardholders are currently carrying a balance from month to month. 61% of those with credit card debt have held it for at least 1 year.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people. A lot of your neighbors are carrying debt for more than a year. And again, they might have really nice cars to be able to do that. They might have some nice toys in the garage. They might have some nice bikes for the kids. I'm sure they got some nice TVs and stereo equipment throughout the house, whatever else is going on. But don't be shocked. They're lying. They got a lot of that stuff paid for by credit card, and they are not building true wealth, and they're not looking at their numbers the way they should be, right?
Yeah. And I just feel like, too, it takes one recession or one bad mark, and you see who's really swimming naked, right? I think that's what the term is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, so we're going to pivot then, right? So number 6 was, the last of what your neighbor is doing and why they're doing better than you. The next 5, the bottom 5, right, working down from 5 to 1, and why your neighbor is got more money than you is actually now your habits. Which is number 5 is you chase the hot stock. Right, you're always looking for the hot tip, and you're just kind of going from almost like gambling. You're going from one hot item to one hot item to one hot item, right?
Back to Buffett again. I think it was Buffett and Jeff Bezos were in an interview, and Bezos is like, Buffett, your investing philosophy is so simple, so easy to understand. Why doesn't everyone just copy you? And Buffett's response was, people don't want to get rich slowly. They want to chase the next hot thing, the thing that's going to give them 100% return overnight. The truth is, getting rich takes time. And if you're going to be invested for the long run, it's going to be a slow compounding growth. It's not going to be overnight.
And those hot tips are usually a little late. Like you're hearing from your uncle at Thanksgiving dinner,
Yep.
And by the time you hear them, the smart money has already probably moved on to something better. And they probably only had, the smart people with money are only had it like a small percentage of their total portfolio, and they're diversified across the board. So that even if that hot tip didn't work out, they're still doing pretty well diversified.
This one always kind of reminds me back to the .com era in terms of helping people manage their money. In the late 1990s, the stock market actually was pretty hot, similar to now. But I haven't had anybody say this to me like I did back then. I remember meeting with somebody, and they worked for a tech firm, and they were doing real well at the time. And there was a moment where the NASDAQ actually hit the 10-year averaged 20%, and it might have only been a couple weeks for the trailing 10-year number. And in that moment, somebody's like, hey, if you can't guarantee me 20% return, why would I use you as the advisor? And again, I was a finance major, econ minor, and I never remember, nobody ever taught us 20% was like an expectation, right? So that was like a luxury at the time. But literally people started to, kind of get very comfortable with things. And this person literally expected 20% a year from an advisor. And obviously I was very honest with him, like, it's not going to happen. And in fact, that guy pretty much called the top and the market collapsed after that. So either way, like, just know, like, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Don't chase the hot thing. Don't get overwhelmed, or don't get too excited when everybody seems excited. you need to look at the market or whatever item it is, a little sideways, I guess, is my recommendation. So stop chasing the hot thing, right?
Do you remember any hot tips that actually worked out?
Oh,
NVIDIA?
I thought that was like you saw NVIDIA like a computer once, and
that was like 10 years ago. Yeah,
That was
that's not
still
crazy.
before.
That's not too crazy. Yeah, if I had to give a regret, right? I remember when Apple hit $4, so like there was a time.
Or Amazon. I
But
mean,
that was pre.
Oh, yeah.
That's pre iPhone, and that is
Yeah.
literally
Just the Mac.
pre iPod, right? That is just the Mac, and it was the bigger, bulky, bubble-looking computer desktop, and that was also pre Steve Jobs left, and that was before he came back.
oh,
didn't they?
Right.
I thought
So,
they
yeah.
fired
they did
him,
fire him.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
did.
they brought him back.
Yeah, they did. So it was, so that was an interesting time, but I literally remember that. And then he came back, and that stock went from like 4 to 50 in about 3 weeks. And then, of course, everybody was like, oh, it's $50. I can't buy it now.
No,
and,
yeah.
and I don't even want to know what it is split adjusted. It's some huge obscene number, but it's before every iPhone and every iPod. And obviously the laptop didn't really exist for them either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was,
Yeah.
so that was, yeah, I mean, that's weird how technology kind of goes. But either way, don't chase the hot stock is the tip. And Apple would have been one of those, I guess. But we can't.
There's
it
a
wasn't,
bunch
it
of
wasn't
them.
that
You
hot.
could say Apple, Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different thing. Moving on. Number 4 reason why your neighbor is doing better than you are. You don't know your numbers, right? And you cannot win a game if you are not tracking, what you need to know. And what are some of those things that we need to know about your numbers?
Yeah, what surprises me a lot of times is people don't know their monthly spending. They don't know their burn rate, how much is going out the door every single month. And that's the first step. Like, we can't enter retirement without knowing how much you're going to need each month. So that's number 1. Number 2 would be just your overall net worth. What is your assets? What is your liabilities? What's that net out to? That's something every meeting we want to check with people and say, hey, last year or when we first met, your net worth was here. Today it's here. And what are the changes we made? What are the things we need to continue to keep doing to make sure that that net worth keeps going up? And so there's a few things that can do that. I don't know if, Ron, you want to touch on ways people might increase their net worth.
Yeah, budgeting. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Just knowing how much you're spending each month. It's clarity. It's knowing where your money's going, not trickling away to different expenses.
Making sure, as we talked about before, is buying assets and buying things that can help grow your wealth over time. So those are a couple of numbers you need to know. There's more behind that. There's college savings numbers. Like, we met with a client the other day. We were looking at in-state versus out-of-state tuition, right? I think the in-state was about $160,000, where out-of-state was about double.
Yep.
So it's just knowing, like, all right, what are our goals? How much are we expecting to help our kids pay for this college? What do we need to do? And then once we know those goals, here's a solution to reach those goals, and that's what we'll help you with.
Correct. Yeah, and like I said, and again, that's a good client to bring up. Right. I mean, young family, they have a young child, and they're looking at all different scenarios, and they're already aware of, okay, well, what is the in-state cost, and how does that differ versus the out-of-state cost? Right. So, I mean, I would say that's a little bit more nitty gritty in terms of just college savings, and but they're already tracking it, and they're already kind of aware of it, and they're going, yeah, what type of education do we want for our daughter? Do we want to send her in state, or do we want to try to save more to send her out of state? Right. So, I mean, and again, if the cost is almost double, then you got to step up your game, and that's something that they're starting, way earlier, and it's good to be aware of, what the progress is there, and that's just one thing, right? Again, I'm still always baffled by how many people walk in and go, yeah, I want to retire in 2 years because I'm 64 years old or I'm 63. And I'm like, well, do you know your numbers? And they have no idea what their numbers are, right? So that's very, very common. And, so just stuff like that people need to know. And then, yeah, tracking your net worth is something that you should be doing at least annually, probably, semi-annually or even quarterly, I would argue. Probably makes a little more sense, to get a little more hyper-focused on it, because maybe it's easy to get lackadaisical with that. But obviously tracking retirement is a big one. Knowing, what your expenses are, just in your household budget is another one that people they just don't know. And it's, especially with credit cards, people sometimes they put on, they'll be spending $5,000 a month on a credit card. Some people are spending $10,000 a month on a credit card. But then when you ask them, like, okay, your fixed expenses are only $4,000. What's this other $6,000? they don't even know what it is, So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had that recently where someone said, they spend $15,000 a month, and it's like, and that was after their mortgage was paid, the property tax was paid, the car bills were paid, and it's like, all right, well, what makes up that 15,000? And there's no answer for that. So we gotta know what's driving up those credit card balances, where areas we can cut, and then areas where maybe it is important to you that you got to keep it going, and how do we work that into the plan?
Yeah, and then did you give that stat? Is that a stat? Did you already say that?
One thing. Yeah, so there's a stat, 67% Americans say they don't currently track their net worth. And I think as Phil mentioned, knowing your net worth is often the first step to increasing your net worth. If you don't know what it is, like how are you going to, there's nowhere to go from that.
Yeah.
So a final quote I want to say, though, is failing to plan is planning to fail. So always remember that. If you have no plan, money just comes and goes, you're planning to fail.
Yep. And since you're going there, I want to just give a shout out to the podcast name again, which is what?
Plan to rise above.
That's right. You got to plan to rise above. If you want to do better, you got to be better. You got to plan to rise above, and then you'll get there. So
yeah, plan to rise above your neighbors.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 reason, moving down to Dave Letterman list. Number 3 reason your neighbor is doing better than you are. You panic during every market drop or political issue, right? And holy crap, is that going on today in the world, right?
I remember during 2022, we had a 20% or 25% market decline, and everyone's like, it's Joe Biden. And Joe Biden can't control inflation. It's all him. He's tanking the economy. Fast forward to 2025, we had the tariff tantrum. And who started the tariffs was Trump. The other half of our client base was like, I can't stand Donald Trump. Like, he's taking our economy. So, like, you can't let these political issues, Republican or Democrat, impact your investments or decide to make a strategy change. Like, at the end of the day, that's not something that's going to impact it long term.
Yep.
Yeah, and history shows panic selling locks in losses. Missing the best recovery days hurts your performance over time. You got to tune out the noise. You can't listen to the CN or MSNBC, right?
MSNBC.
Yeah.
Or Fox or CNN.
Yeah,
It doesn't
it's
matter.
all entertainment.
It's
news.
all entertainment news. That's all it is. Yeah.
They
Well,
want
like-
you listening, panicking.
I love when CNBC in bright red, it'll be like lowest level since August of 2025. It's like that was 7 months ago or whatever it was. Like, it's not like
The worst
That
ones
was
are when they
all-time
posted it
high.
is like 2 days ago. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you putting that on there? But
it's like a 2% decline.
Yeah, and your neighbor might see the fear as a discount. Like he's buying the stock when it's lower, when others are panicking and selling. They're getting it at a discount and locking in lower cost bases.
Yeah, and I would say even from our book of business, our highest net worth clients are the ones that are during those declines are calling saying, hey, pull 50,000, get it to work in the market, pull 100,000, or maybe even smaller numbers, 5,000, whatever it might be. They're saying, hey, let's use this as an opportunity to buy at lower prices.
Yeah, and I think during the 2025 tariff tantrum, like the guidance we were giving to our clients kind of helped them smooth the path. Like people weren't just going to the news and getting the news opinion. We were actively calling and giving our opinion, and that kind of smoothed the
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I would say too, like just a reminder, like even if you're not here, obviously, right? Whoever your investment advisor is, more than likely, they're kind of rooting for some of these pullbacks along the way. You don't want the world to just keep getting better every day in terms of investment performance, right? You want pullbacks. They're healthy. It's nice for the market to take a little bit of a pause, a little breather, so to speak, right? It's a chance for you to get money put in and put to work, So we all have. I have wish lists that we want to buy, and then so if the market does go down 10 or 20%, there's things that we want to be able to do and put things to work, and then and if somebody's calling in and going, hey, I don't want to buy now, you're like, oh, that's what we've been waiting for like a little while. That's why we have this cash. And we want to put it to work. So just remember, advisors out there that actually, in a weird way, do wish for pullbacks, whether it be political reasons or just normal economic company fundamental reasons, right? It might not be political, but yeah, we want, like I said, I like pullbacks, and we want to see them.
Yeah, and there was one more thing, too. I always like to say missing the best days can really hurt your performance long term. Like if we take a look back in the COVID days, the market had a decline of 9% one day, and then it was up 9% the next day. then was followed by down 12% today. So timing that day is going to be very hard. You don't want to go all in or all out during certain periods because you're going to miss that rebound or that bounce back day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the number 3 reason again why your neighbor's doing better than you is you panic during every market drop or political issue. So again, try not to do that. And easier said than done. But turn that TV off. Put those blinders on. That's a comment I always like to say. Right. Put the blinders on like you're a horse in a race, and you just keep plowing forward. And don't worry about what's going on around you. Because it really just messes you up when it comes to building a plan and doing best really for your family. Everybody else is trying to take away your just basically monopolize your TV time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I always try to tell people early on, like during their first meetings, like if we're going to have a relationship that lasts, 10, 20 years, we're going to go through tough periods together. Mm-hmm. And that could be on the economy side, the stock market side, that could be on your side, like with your life, job loss, whatever it might be. So we got to find a way to smooth out some of those waves and not get too down or too up when times are good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 2 reason why you have, or why your neighbor is doing better than you have not learned to tell your kids no. Oh my God, that's a touchy subject. I just offended somebody. Holy crap, here it comes. So obviously, and I have 3 kids, and I've lived this at times, right? So there are times where you need to tell your kids, sorry, we're not buying that. And obviously easier said than done. I can think of many after going to practices or plays or whatever. It's like, oh, let's go get ice cream. Obviously, sometimes that happens. But the one that I do like is the example that even John gave us is like, yeah, going to Target. Can I get a toy? You got to say no every now and then, right? You can't be spending $5-10 all the time. And in 5-10 hours every other day or even every day, obviously might end up being like $50 a week. $50 a week, $200 a month. Before you know it, that's $2,400, and that $2,400, if we doubled it a couple times, becomes something serious. So you gotta learn how to tell your kids no. That's a big one for me. So we'll keep stacking in here for a second.
Yeah, and sometimes too, it's not even money. Like I know even with our daughter, she's learning about Miss Rachel, right? So Miss Rachel, for those that don't know, is a YouTuber for kids. Like she does very animated stuff, and my daughter's young, but she learned that the remote turns on the TV, which leads to Miss Rachel. So she'll grab the remote, bring it to me, like look at the TV and say, hey, can you turn it on? And, sometimes I'm like, yes, we'll watch it, hang out for a little bit. But sometimes I got to say, hey, no, you can't have everything you want whenever you want. And it's just like teaching her that discipline early, hopefully leads to her being less spoiled as an adult. And when I do take her to Target eventually, she's not racking up my credit card bill.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's better places to say, like the $10 toy. You could put $10 in that 529 plan and help with college, things that are going to actually grow them. Like you're investing in their future, not just one-off toys.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's like, I remember growing up playing travel sports. It's like some kids always had the new LeBrons or the new soccer cleats. It's like, your kid is going to use these for a year and then their foot's going to get bigger. They're not going to have them. Like they don't always need a $200 shoe that the best athlete at the time puts out. Like sometimes you got to have a boundary somewhere and say, hey, like this is our budget. This is what we're sticking to. This is what you need. So it's easier said than done. Like I said, I'm on my first kid, but Phil's livid. He's had 3 kids.
I've broken this rule a lot, So I mean, like I said, this is a hard one, and that's why it's number 2 on the list because it's so prevalent.
Yeah.
that's why it's not number 10. This is number 2 of you have not learned to tell your kids no.
Yeah, and it's almost it's a domino effect though too, because I see people now with kids that are 25 plus that they're depending on their parents for their rent or depending on their parents for their car payment, and it's like if you don't draw the line early on in life, those dollar figures just keep getting bigger and bigger as they get older. And I think even tomorrow we have a meeting with a client, and I'm preaching to them. It's like, value your retirement security first before overcommitting to your kids. Like, it's great to help your kids if you have the means, but make sure you have your foundation set and your stuff taken care of.
Yep.
Yeah, and kids learn money habits from their parents. So if you're always buying those Louis Vuitton, nice designer stuff, they're probably going to follow your footsteps and want that stuff too. So not teaching them good money habits.
Those brands are smart now. Like even with the baby stuff, they have baby like Uggs. Like they know, like they know like the baby North Face or whatever, the nicer outfits. It's like, hey, probably don't need it. Does look good.
Yeah, if you want your kid to appreciate yes, you need to say no more often. there we go. And
That's a good one.
yeah, and that one comes from behind the camera. So thank you, thank you, John, there on that. And very true. And yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Teach your kids too. Like if they want that new PlayStation, like say, hey, I'll give you a chore, I'll pay you a little bit, and you can save, and then you can buy it. Because then it teaches them delayed gratification. It teaches them ways to save and be better about money, and it's only going to help them later on.
Or even the allowance, like give them $5 a week and do 20% savings, and then the rest they can spend or something.
Yeah, I've seen parents too where it's like, if you put $100 into the account, they'll match it sometimes as well, or just to encourage it. Because as a kid, like, you're not thinking about saving money, really. You're thinking about like the next Game Boy or whatever. So it's just building those habits as early as possible.
Yeah. So if you see your neighbor driving by with the kid with an electric scooter, they might be number 6 on the list, which was they're lying because they're racking up credit card debt, and they're not obviously probably telling their kids no all the time. But if that's you, better look in the mirror, because that might be number 2 reason why you're not doing better than your neighbor.
A lot of people think it's uncomfortable to talk about finances with their kids, and I think sharing that knowledge is great with the next generation. You're only going to make them better. If they got to learn it when they're in their 20s, they're already behind someone who's been talking with their mom and dad when they're 15, 10 years old, or whatever it is. They already got to step up.
Yep, no doubt about it. And again, I think too, like, you got to do it early, because there is a little bit a danger zone going on right now, right? And we are seeing it from our side. We're seeing a lot of 25-year-olds to 30-year-olds to 35-year-olds still continuing to get assistance from their parents, right? And they're struggling. I guess some people might use the term failing to thrive, right? Or failure to launch, so to speak, is another term that I've used, or that we've heard, I should say. That's an issue, and maybe it goes back to when they're 5 years old. But at the same time, like, that's you enabling them. So again, this is all back to our top 10 list. So
but
so
one more point I want to add. Even Phil, in your life with your daughter now who's going to college, like, you've had those conversations, like, this is what this college costs, and then here's another college cost. Like, these are the numbers I'm paying. If you want to go this route, maybe I help you out with some money I'm saving here, or vice versa. Like, you don't say, here's a blank check, go wherever you want. Obviously, you support them either way, but they're aware of the finances behind it.
Correct. Yeah, you want them to. I'm trying to find reasons to justify the schools that she's picking, or that even my boys have picked. So yeah, we want them to have some skin in the game that way, at least to be kind of emotionally prepared for it. But at the same time, yeah, if they pick a school, if she picks a school that costs less, saves me a lot of money, I'm willing to kind of share in that a little bit and give her some of that. Because either way, I'm coming off with a better deal. So we'll see where she ends up deciding. But that's something that we did talk about even just a couple weeks ago. So so her eyes are maybe now starting to look around a little bit more than just the one initial shiny object that she was looking at. So we'll see. So
yeah, but it's good to know too, like, even if they go to the expensive school, they know how much skin in the game you have, right? Like, they know if, all right, my dad and mom are paying $60,000 a year, like, I can't just go screw around for a semester. Like, I have to have fun, but, like, same time, I got to pass my classes, get a degree. Like, I'm here to get a degree at the end of the day.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Again, in the top 10 list, moving down to number 1. Drum roll, right? Number 1, why your neighbor is doing better than you. Well, we're going to be honest. You are spending like a drunken fool, so that is it. Most financial problems are not math problems. They are just emotional spending, and you have no self-control. Let's just call it out and call it like it is, right? You are also... we said number 6 was the neighbor is lying, and they've got credit card issues. Number 1 is you're lying to yourself. You got credit card issues, basically, right? That's what's going on.
Yeah, you're not honest with yourself. At the end of the day, like, you're spending way more than you should, and there's no limit to it. It just keeps on going, and at some point, I've talked about this before, you control your own destiny. You want to do well, you got to take action and make changes.
It's not what you make, it's what you keep at the end of the day. You got to keep those paychecks to work for you. You can't just spend it all. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, exactly. And again, so that was, I don't know what you guys thought of our list of 10 to 1, right? Again, the first 5 were reasons that your neighbor was doing better. Number 6 was a tricky one. And then number 5 to 1 was reasons that you're kind of sabotaging yourself. And then we were thinking of some other things that were outside the top 10, by the way, just other little funny ones, right? And one was I came up with was, you might be you might. Oh, hold on. What is that? I can't even read that.
Oh, it says comment below with any topics you think we
I wrote
we
that.
missed. Yeah, Phil wrote that. Gotta get the readers out.
Yeah. So so comment below with any other topics that you think we missed from 1 to 10, or that should fit in there. But yeah, so one of the funny ones that came up was like, if you live on a 1/4 acre lot and you have a rotting lawnmower, you might be overspending. Right, that's kind of one of them, right? What did you have?
If you got a 4-wheeler with a snowplow on it for a 2-car driveway, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't really make sense.
Exercise.
Yes,
Exercise is a good thing.
yes, exercise is a good thing. Yeah, right.
Or I got another one. If you have 3 cars but you work remote,
Oh, dang,
like,
that's
that's
a good one.
like
Actually.
where's that? Like, why does that happen?
How about eating out 7 times a week?
Yeah.
Eating out 7 times. No
Yeah.
doubt about that. Yeah, that's very common around here, by the way. Yeah. If you're eating out every day, if you have a nice stove and it's always clean, that might be a sign. That might be a sign that you're overspending. Shoot, I know this with a few people, right? If you're single, you live at home, and you still have a like a homemaker or somebody come in, like a clean lady, so to speak. I don't think you need a clean lady if it's just you, right?
Yeah,
So,
that is
agree.
true. Clean up
That's
after yourself.
That's a luxury, right? Like at some point you hit the asset level where it makes sense. But yeah, if you're early on, you clean up your dishes, clean the countertops. Like that's on you.
Membership to a gym that you've never gone to.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
that's true. Yeah, membership to gym that you don't go to. That's definitely outside the top 10. But that that's another sign that you might be spending like a drunken fool.
Yeah, memberships you don't use. It doesn't have to be gym. It could be a country club, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking of the treadmill. The treadmill that you paid $1,000 for that you've never been on, the Peloton that you've never been on. There's a whole bunch that we can come up with behind this, right? I think the other weird one, again, we're talking about the neighbor, could also be maybe even an overspending on fertilizer. You got to have the greenest grass in the subdivision. That might be a compulsive issue. Maybe justified.
I have a neighbor.
That's like an OCD.
So right now we have HOA. So someone does a grass, but my neighbor does his own and fertilize it. His does look very nice. Like his rows are perfect. It looks nicer than mine. I gave it a summer. I was like, I want to see his versus mine, and his does look better. But that could be a hobby. So another thing is like if you enjoy doing that, like more power to you. But if you're spending like a crazy amount to support that hobby and you have other things you could be shoring up financially, then maybe not. But at the end of the day, you got to spend money on what you love and cut back on things that you don't really need.
Yep. Very good. And thank you for tuning in and watching episode 8. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please, again, like, subscribe, comment below. We need all the love that we can get. And if you have some ideas that you think we missed or topics that you would like to see, please comment on those, and we can use that in a future episode. And obviously, yes, the tagline above, plan to rise above, powered by PMG Wealth Management. Anything else you guys got?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
1% better.
We'll see you guys next time where you're looking to do 1% better, and we'll be here again. Take care.